What is up, YouTube? It is Zar-Kombat. We're back with the fresh new haircut. I cut the hair off. I was live streaming a couple weeks ago, and someone in the chat told me that I look like what's that guy's name? Uh, he told me I look like someone that's in the UFC that had like a big afro and he's gay. So this guy in the chat told me that I look like a gay fighter, so I had to chop my hair off. It's gone. I'm feeling fresh. I'm feeling brand new. We're back with another live stream. We're doing UFC Vancouver. UFC Vancouver, the official live stream. We're breaking down the card, the main card, the prelims. We're doing the reactions. Who's gonna win? Who's gonna lose? How they might win and how they might lose. Yeah, I wasn't able to go live yesterday. Had a bit of problem with my internet, but we're back at it, man. We're back at it. We're doing it again. UFC Vancouver, man. It's a big one going down in Canada. Normally the UFC doesn't do big cards, or not even big cards. Like the UFC doesn't usually do big cards, massive cards for Canada, but for UFC Vancouver, man, the UFC went all out. It's a crazy main event. We've got a guy that's undefeated in the UFC right now. Actually, both guys. No, not both. The undefeated Rainier Derrida, 5-0 in the UFC, made his UFC debut last year. Undefeated in the UFC. And then Anthony Hernandez coming off of one of the most dominant one-sided victories in UFC history. Like that last performance that Rainier Derrida had was one of the most spectacular performances I've ever seen in the UFC. I mean, beating what's his name, Roman Delitze, beating Roman Delitze and dominating him is very very impressive. So yeah, man, UFC Vancouver, it's a big one. Rainier Derrida versus Anthony Hernandez. We have got Bruno Ferreira in the chat. He's writing in Portuguese. Let me see if I know how to pronounce some Portuguese words. It's saying Oi bien dia amigo. I know amigo is friend. Hola amigo. Hola amigo. Hope you're good. Hope you're well. Again, guys, do make sure you subscribe. It is Zar-Kombat for UFC content, MMA content. Make sure you subscribe. It is Zar-Kombat. We're doing UFC Vancouver going down October. It's going down in October. It's going down in October. UFC Vancouver. It's a big one, man. Again, Bruno Ferreira in the chats. I'm sorry, amigo. Mi Portuguese. Me, ni hablo Portuguese. Ni hablo Portuguese. Me South African, so no hablo Portuguese. No hablo Portuguese. But yeah, man. UFC Vancouver, it's going down. I cannot wait. We've got the main event, Rainier Derrida. We've got Anthony Hernandez. A lot of big names in the main card, and a couple big names in the prelims as well. We've got Drew Dober. He's coming back. We've got Bruno Lucino. He's coming back also. We've got Kevin Holland. Kevin Holland is back. I think he's making like his fourth appearance this year. Mike Malott, the Canadian fighter, he's also back. Obviously, Anthony Hernandez. We've got Rainier Derrida. We have got Chito Vera. Chito Vera's also back. I haven't seen Chito Vera fights in a long time, so he's also back. We're going to be breaking down the fights for UFC Vancouver. There's a couple of big fights happening in October. We've also got Charlize du Bronx Oliveira. Charlize Oliveira's also back in October versus Rafael Faziev. We've also got UFC 320, Magomed Ankalaev, Alex Pereira. I broke down the UFC 320 card a couple days ago, so if you want to go check out that live stream, go check it out on my page. It is Zar-Kombat, ZAR-KOMBAT, Zar-Kombat. Make sure you subscribe. We've also got UFC 321, Tom Aspinall versus Cyril Gane going down in October as well. So there's a lot of fights going down in October, man. The UFC are coming in heavy for UFC. The UFC is coming in heavy for October, man. A lot of big names, and there's the UFC also dropped a couple big fights as well. He dropped a couple big fights. Dana White's announced that Islam Makhachev versus Jack Della Maddalena is officially official for UFC 322 at Madison Square Garden. I cannot wait. That's a massive one. And on that card, we've got the biggest fights in women's history. Like, in my opinion, the biggest fights in women's history. We've got Valentina Shevchenko versus Zhang Weili. It's going down. It's gonna be violent. It's gonna be for the women's flyweight division. Weili is trying to become a double champ in the women's in Weili is trying to become a double champ. Only the I think the second to try and attempt being a double champ in the UFC. And then the big one for me that was announced this week: Leon Edwards versus Carlos Prates. Carlos Prates is definitely gonna smoke Leon Edwards. I love Carlos Prates. Carlos Prates is by far my favorite fighter, so I cannot wait for that fight. Yeah, guys, we're back. We're doing the UFC Vancouver card. We're breaking down the main card. We're breaking down the prelims. Again, man, it is Zar-Kombat. Make sure you do subscribe. There's a couple comments in the chat. We've got the Fighting Corner. That's my dog. That's my boy. Shout out to you, the Fighting Corner. I've seen you in my comments before. You're saying, "How's it going, bro?" I'm well. I hope you're good. I hope you're well as well. Thank you, man. Thank you for being in the chat. The Fighting Corner saying Edwards versus Prates is gonna be a banger, bruh. Prates, I hope Prates wins that fight. I really hope Prates wins that fight. Like, I've always been a fan of Prates since he beat the Leech. When he beat the Leech at UFC 305 last year, I was like, this guy, he's the next big thing. Like, he's what the Prates is what the welterweight division needs. Like, the welterweight division needed a fighter that's gonna stand up and that's got good striking. So Prates, cannot wait for that one. That's gonna be a massive one. But today we're doing the UFC Vancouver card, the main card and the prelims. Before I go on, let me read a couple comments in the chat. We've got Omar in the chat saying nice haircuts. Yeah, man, I cut the hair off. A couple weeks ago I was live, and then some guy in the chat told me like there's that guy. He said I look like Jordan Levitt. If you know who Jordan Levitt is, he's that gay fighter in the UFC. He fought Paddy Pimblett a couple weeks. He fought Paddy Pimblett a couple years ago at UFC London. So someone told me I look like Jordan Levitt, and I cut my hair because there's no way I'm gonna look like a gay guy. I cut my hair, bro, because if people in the chat are telling me I look like Jordan Levitt, I had to cut my hair. So I'm bald now. I'm bald, fresh new haircuts, and we're getting ready for the UFC. Getting ready for the UFC Vancouver breakdown. Again, guys, do make sure you do subscribe to Zar-Kombat. I would deeply appreciate that. Omar saying, "Do you wax your head?" Nah, man. I've got a shaving machine, so I've got a cutting machine. It's not really shaved. I'm not really bald. There's still it's like a brush cut. It's a brush cut. It's not completely bald, but yeah, man. There was no way I was gonna allow myself to look like Jordan Levitt. Being called Jordan Levitt was it broke my heart, dog. It broke my heart, so I cut my hair off. Now Omar saying I look like David Goggins. Come on, bro. I don't look like the. Is it the head? Is it the head? Like, listen, My head is big, but compared to David Goggins' head is like this long. David Goggins' head is like this long, bro. So stop trolling. I do not look like David Goggins, bro. No way, no way, no way. But yeah, Chad, we're doing the UFC Vancouver, UFC Vancouver card. It's going down in Canada at the Rogers Arena. Reina Dorita versus Anthony Fluffy Hernandez. Massive, massive fight. Here we go, man. Here we go, man. Here we go. I'm gonna start with the prelims, and then we're gonna move on to the main card. And again, guys, do make sure you subscribe, and also don't be afraid to drop some comments and connect. And let's have fun, man. Let's have a W stream. I'll be here for a while, so don't be shy, man. Don't be shy to drop a few comments. So here we go. And first of all, I want to start by saying that the UFC Vancouver card was supposed to be main evented by Sean Brady versus Ian Gary. That was supposed to be the main event. Sean Brady said that Ian Gary's running away. He's ducking him. I don't know what's going on with Ian Gary. Ian Gary was also. I heard a couple rumors that he was going to fight Leon Edwards at UFC 322. Obviously, it's not happening. The UFC announced, Dana White's announced that Edwards is fighting Carlos Prates. So we don't know what's going on with Ian Gary. I think maybe Ian Gary might be. I think Sean Brady versus Ian Gary might go down in December, probably. If not, it might be the main events of UFC Qatar. But you know the main events of UFC Qatar is still going around. Like I heard that it might be Arman Sarukian versus Dan Hooker. So I don't know what the UFC are up to, and I don't know what Ian Gary is up to. Sean Brady versus Ian Gary. Like I definitely want to see that fight because I know that Ian Gary is not going to win that fight. If it happens, if Sean Brady fights Ian Gary, there is no way that Ian Gary wins the fight. Like I feel like the ground game of Sean Brady is just way too much for Ian Gary. I think Sean Brady takes him down and he gets a submission. And I want to see Ian Gary lose because he's always talking like he wants to fight someone in the division, but then when it's time to sign the papers, he disappears. Like, how are you going to talk for months that I want to fight, I want to fight, I want to fight, and then when you're given the contract to fight the guy, you disappear? Like, bro, why are you being like, why are you running away? Why are you running away? But yeah, man, we're doing the UFC Vancouver card. Let's read a couple comments here. We've got Omar saying, "Did you ever like Conor McGregor?" Yeah, man. Everyone loved Conor McGregor. Like 2016, Conor McGregor was the best thing that ever happened to the UFC. Conor definitely made me a fan of the UFC. As much as I wasn't really a fan of the UFC when Conor McGregor was in his prime. Like I started watching the UFC again. I am South African. For those of you that don't know, I am South African. I live in South Africa, in Durban, South Africa. So in Africa, we only started watching the UFC on TV back in 2019, when the UFC signed the ESPN deal, and then that allowed us to be able to watch the UFC. So back in 2019, the biggest star in the UFC back then was Israel Adesanya. So he got me into the UFC. I remember his fights versus Kelvin Gastelum, like that fight, and it happened on my birthday. It happened on my birthday back in 2019. It was at UFC 236, I think it was. It was on my birthday, April 13th, and I became a fan. And then I watched more of the UFC and became an even bigger fan. And then I got to know who Conor McGregor was, and I watched a few videos, a few fights, and obviously, man, like if you love MMA, we all love 2016 prime Conor McGregor. So yeah, man, I do love prime Conor McGregor. The fighting corner saying a little off topic, but what's your opinion on the Misfits event tonight? Terrence Hill versus Luke Rockhold. Sorry. Man, listen, there's no UFC today, so I'm definitely gonna be watching that fight. Just to see Tony Ferguson get back on the win column. To be honest, man, I don't really like Darren Till versus Luke Rockhold. It doesn't interest me a lot. It's a good fight, you know what I mean? It's a good fight, but I just want to see Tony Ferguson win because I know he's fighting I don't know, some influencer called Sword Papi or whatever his name is. So I definitely want to see Tony Ferguson get back on the win column. So I'm gonna be watching that. I'm gonna be watching Misfits tonight. Definitely. Like in South Africa, I think it's gonna be playing around 8 p.m. because I think the events is in Manchester, and Manchester and South Africa have the same time zone. So yeah, I'll be watching that fight. There's nothing else going on today. I don't really watch any other sports besides MMA, or I just watch. I love combat sports, like any other sports, soccer, rugby, cricket, American football. I don't watch all of that. So I think it's gonna be the Misfits events. I'm gonna be watching that one. And as for Darren Till versus Luke Rockhold, I was watching the build up. Um, it was kind of corny, man. Seeing Darren Till, trying to be like Conor McGregor, and he's, you know what I mean, like he's trying to fight Luke Rockhold at the press conference and at the weigh-ins. I thought that was weird. I mean, like you're gonna fight the guy anyway, so why are you trying to fight him at the press conference? You know what I mean? But I guess that's how they make their money. So, but I am gonna be watching though. I am gonna be watching. I'm gonna try to be live. I'm gonna try to live stream that event, and I'm most likely gonna be live. No, I am gonna be live actually. I'm gonna be live. I'm gonna be live later today. So when it's live, make sure you come and join the chat and watch with me, man. So read a few other comments. Omar saying, "I'm glad Khabib messed up corner. I enjoyed every second." I mean, yeah, I guess so, but I'm not really a big Khabib fan. I mean, I get the hype, and I loved what happened after the fights when he jumped over the cage and he had his old Mike Tyson moments. That was cool, but I don't know. I feel like it would have been bigger if Conor actually beats Khabib because now Khabib he won, and then because he won, like the UFC started signing all these Dagestani guys, and they come into the UFC and they don't want to fight standing up. They want to take the guy down, and they want to lay on top of the guy for all the for every minute of the fight. And I don't like that fighting style, man. At least with Khabib, he was he was violent. You know what I mean? Like he used his wrestling, but he would throw elbows and he would ground and pound you, and I love that. I want to see violence, but when you see people like Hamza Chimaev doing what they did to yeah, Hamza Chimaev did to Dracus Duplessis, like I don't want to watch that, man. Like I do not want to watch that. Like I do not love that style at all. And I don't understand these hardcore MMA fans saying, "Oh, if you don't like this fighting style and you're a casual, bro, we pay to watch violence. We don't want to see a man laying on top of another man for 25 minutes." I mean, what's exciting about that? I mean, I get that I got that, like Khamzat was showing that there's levels to there was him and Dracus Duplessis were on different levels, but laying on top of the guy and throwing soft hammer fists on his head, you're not even throwing any elbows, you're not trying to make him bleed. You know what I mean? Like I don't like that fighting style at all, and I do not want to see that. So like I liked Khabib. I like what he did when he was in the game, but I don't like that he brought all these Dagestani guys that are boring. We've got Eric Tiles in the chat saying hello. What's up, bro? Hope you're good. Hope you're well. Eric saying I'm also new to fighting and MMA. I like wrestling and sambo more. I like it too, man. I like it too. Sambo and wrestling are definitely the best base for MMA, or at least the best base for MMA if you want to become world champion. And if you come from those Dagestani countries, Russia, Chechen, like where you've been wrestling since you were a child, You get into the UFC, man. I mean, more times, I mean, you're highly likely to become a UFC champion. So I like it too, but I like it when it's violence. You know what I mean? Like if you're throwing the guy around and you're suplexing him and you're throwing him around the cage and you're throwing ground and pound and you're trying to throw elbows on the ground and you're trying to make him bleed, then it's exciting. But if you're just gonna lay on top of the guy and do nothing for 25 minutes, then I don't want to watch that at all. But I do like also combats, and I do like sambo and wrestling. Like I like combat sports as a whole. Um, Eric saying is into soccer and combat sports. Yeah, man, me too. I also like soccer, but I don't watch soccer as much as I used to. I was a big Liverpool fan. I still am, but I don't watch soccer as much as I used to anymore. It's kind of boring actually. Like when you're into MMA, like it's hard to get into other sports because like no other sport make you feel like what MMA makes you feel. You know what I mean? Like I remember watching UFC 300s and like I knew that nothing was ever gonna compare to UFC 300s. No other sports in the world. Nothing. NBA, basketball, baseball, cricket, rugby, nothing at all. So MMA for me, man. MMA, I love MMA as well. But again, chat. For those of you that just joined the chat, we're doing the UFC Vancouver card breakdown. It's a massive one. Renier Derrida versus Anthony Fluffy Hernandez. And the funny thing about this fight, it actually got done at UFC 319. That's when the fight actually got done because both Renier Derrida and Anthony Fluffy Hernandez were in Chicago for UFC 319. And then after Hamzat beat DDP, Dana White had a meeting with both of those guys. Dana White and the matchmakers. They said, listen, we've got this card in Vancouver. It was supposed to be headlined by Sean Brady versus Ian Gary, but Ian Gary doesn't want to fight. So they needed a big main event for UFC Vancouver. And actually, it's cool on the UFC for actually bringing a big main event to Canada because every time the UFC goes to Canada, I mean, I think the last main event there was I think it was Amanda Nunes versus someone else. I don't know who she was fighting. So it's kind of crazy, man. Like paying a lot of money to see a women's main event. That was kind of insane. But at least Charles Oliveira was on the card, so they got to see the glorious GOAT, Charlize the Bronx Oliveira in Vancouver. So that was nice for them. But this time around, the UFC is bringing an impressive card, man. There's a lot of big names on the card. Art Renier Derrida, Hernandez, Chito Vera's also back. We've got Mike Malott. Jordan is back. He's fighting Davy Grant. That's gonna be an absolute banger. Drew Dober's also back. It's a nice event, man. It's a nice card. So I'm gonna be watching that one, and we're breaking down the prelims and the main card as well. We're doing the predictions. I'm gonna be telling you who I think is gonna win and how, and you guys are gonna tell me whether you agree or not. And yeah, man, do make sure you subscribe. And as always, guys, do comment below. Let's interact. Let's have a fun time in the chat, man. Okay, here we go. UFC Vancouver going down at Rogers Arena. We're gonna start with the prelims, and the first fight on the prelims is a women's strawweight event. We've got Luciano, Bruno Luciano versus Oliveira Moraes. Um, to be honest, man, I don't really follow women's MMA a lot. I'm only excited about Valentina Shevchenko versus Zhang Weili going down at UFC 322. That's the only women's fights I'm excited about that's gonna go down this year. Any other fights, I don't really watch. But Bruno Luciano versus Oliveira Moraes is gonna be the first fight of the night at UFC Vancouver. And for that one, I'm gonna pick Bruno Luciano. I know she's got some good BJJ. She's got a solid ground game, so excuse me. I'm gonna have to lean towards her on that one. And then we move on to a good fight, actually a massive fight in the light heavyweight division. We've got now these names are hard to pronounce. We've got Bikayev versus Balkaroy. Balkaroy, I don't know if I'm pronouncing his name right, it's Balkaroy, but he's actually one of Alex Bolton Pereira's training partners. Balgaroy is one of Alex Pereira's training partners, is one of his main training partners. They actually fought a long time ago at Glory Kickboxing. So Balgaroy, Balgaroy, I think that's how you pronounce his name. Balgaroy, he also fought at Dana White's Contender Series and a couple big knockouts. And he finally earned his UFC debut, man. So I guess all the training with Alex Bolton Pereira worked out. He had a couple wars with Pereira back in the day in kickboxing. I think Pereira won that fight. I haven't really watched the results, but I've seen a couple highlights. But I know that he is the main training partner of Alex Pereira. So for Bikiyov versus Balkaroy in the light heavyweight division, I'm gonna have to go with Balkaroy just because he trains with Alex Pereira and he's one of Alex Pereira's main training partners. So I'm not gonna pick against the guy that trains with Alex Pereira, bro. I mean, come on. If you train with the Shama man, if you train with Boaton, then you're doing something right. You know what I mean? So I think he wins that fight, and I think he gets that one done by TKO. I think he definitely gets that fight done, and I think he wins that one. And then we move on to the light heavyweight division. Listen, whenever I look at a card and there's a lightweight fight on that card, I always get excited because the lightweights for me is by far one of the best divisions in the UFC. Like the light heavyweight division, the welterweight division, the featherweight division, and then obviously the bantamweight division. Like those four divisions are carrying the UFC right now, and the light heavyweight division has one of the biggest names in the UFC. So in the light heavyweight division at UFC Vancouver, we've got Dre Polex. We've got Dre Polex. I hope I'm pronouncing that name right. Dre Polex fighting the veteran Drew Duba. No, Drew Duba. Drew Dober. Sorry. Dre Polex versus Drew Dober. Man, that's gonna be a fun one. Obviously, Drew Dober, the American Chad. Obviously, whenever he's in there, it's always a fun one. But whenever he's in there, he always wins if he's fighting a black guy. He's not fighting a black guy. He's fighting a white guy. So I think he might actually lose this fight. But I want to go with Drew Dober just because he's a veteran in the division. He's faced everyone like Islam Makachev. He's been in there with Bobby Green. He's been in there with Terrence McKinney. And he's been in the UFC for a long time. I think he's got like 10 plus years in the UFC, if I'm not mistaken. So I think Drew Dober, when it comes to experience and when it comes to the level of competition, he's definitely got more to bring in this fight than Dre Pulex. So I'm gonna go Drew Dober on that fight. A nice one in the lightweight division. Drew Dober's back. Puts on walls every time he's in there, and I hope he gets the job done. I think he lost his last fight, so I'm definitely going to be rooting for him, and I think he wins this one. He's got the experience over the other guy. He's been in UFC for a while. He's faced everyone, so I think he's seen enough to be able to beat G-Pulex. Definitely for sure. So I'm picking Drew Dober on that one in the light heavyweight division. And then we move on to we've got Barlow versus Santos in the featherweight division. I'm not really, I haven't really seen these guys fight before, but I've seen a couple highlights from both guys. I did my research. I've never watched them fight live. So I think this one goes to a decision. I'm gonna lean towards Santos. I think Santos, he's from Brazil, so obviously he's got a good Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu ground game, and I think he's got a Jiu-Jitsu background. So the ground game of Santos is definitely gonna be much more better than Barlow's ground game. I think I think he takes this one to the ground, but I don't think he gets a submission because I've seen a couple highlights from Barlow, and he looks like a guy that has also got a good ground game. I think this fight is gonna be competitive, but I'm leaning towards Santos. I think Santos gets this job done by I think he gets the job done by decision. I think he takes this fight to a decision, and he gets the job done. And then it is the main card. We're done with the prelims. There hasn't been any early prelims announced for UFC Vancouver. I think the UFC are still working on the early prelims. So as soon as the early prelims are announced, I'm gonna tell you guys, and I'm gonna tell you my predictions for the early prelims. But the main card for UFC Vancouver, the first card on the main card is a big one actually, a big one at flyweights. We've got Silva versus Park. That's a nice one. I mean, every time there's a flyweight fight on the card, we know it's going to be high paced. I mean, the small boys, they like to scrap. The small boys, they like to scrap. They definitely are one of the most underrated division in the UFC, the flyweight division. I mean, it's stacked. We've got obviously the champion in what's his name, Pantoja. For Pantoja as the champ, we've got Brandon Moreno in there in the top five. We've got Manel Cup in the top five. We've got a lot of guys. The Japanese guy, I don't know how to pronounce his name properly. We've got him in the top five as well. So the flyweight division is also fun. We've got Steve Usyk in the top 10. The flyweight division is always fun, man. I mean, every time there's a flyweight fight, you know it's gonna be high paced. You know there's gonna be a lot of action, and it's gonna be fun. Silva representing Brazil, and then Park representing Korea. It's gonna be a fun one, but I think Silva gets the job done. I think Silva's gonna come out. He's gonna be aggressive. Park is also gonna come out. He's gonna be aggressive as well. I think round one is gonna be a war, and then we're gonna go into round two, and I think Silva might get the submission. I think the ground game of Silva is great actually, and Park has been submitted multiple times before. Like he's been submitted in the UFC. He doesn't have the best ground game, and he's got some nice wrestling, but the jiu-jitsu of Park is what worries me in this fight. So that's why for this one, I'm gonna have to lean towards Silva in this flyweight fight. Silva versus Park. I've got Park winning by round two submission. That is my prediction for that fight. Should be a fun one. And then we move on to my prediction for Fight of the Night at UFC Vancouver. Definitely picking this fight to be Fight of the Night. We've got Joe Dane versus Davy Grant. Davy Grant, obviously the Scouser, fighting out of England. And then Chris Jourdain. Um, he's also one of the best fighters at featherweights. He lost to John Silver, I think, last time he was in there. But I mean, every time he's in there, it's always a fun fight. It's always a fun fight to watch. So he put two guys that are always in fight of the nights. Um, Fight of the nights whenever they're competing. Two guys that always win Fight of the Night bonuses. You put those two guys together in the octagon, obviously it's gonna be one of the best fights we see. So definitely Joe Dane versus Davy Grant is gonna be Fight of the Night at UFC Vancouver. But man, I think the old timer I think Davy Grant still has enough in the tank to get the job done. I think he's got one of the most confusing styles in the UFC. There's this combo he likes to throw, like you kind of like he'll be in the orthodox stance. He'll show you his right hand, move into southpaw, throw a left body shot, move into orthodox position, and then come up with the right hook. That's one of his best moves. And whenever he throws that move, it always lands. Plus, man, like he's got one of the most weird submissions ever. Like I remember I watched one of his fights, and he had this guy in like it was a standing armbar. So they were on the ground, and David Grant got the armbar, right? Got the armbar, and then this guy kind of clenched his arm, picked up Davy Grant, and then Davy Grant pulled the arm. Like he had the arm and he had his legs wrap around his neck while the other guy was standing, and he got that submission and he was pulling on his arm. I think he almost broke his arm on that fight. So Davy Grant, one of the best stand-up guys in the featherweight division, and also has one of the best submission games in the UFC, like the UFC as a whole. So him versus Joe Dane is gonna be a fun one, and I'm gonna have to go with Davy Grant. I think Davy Grant, he's the veteran. He's 38 years old, but he's been looking very very good in his last few fights. So that's why I'm gonna have to go with him in this fight. And Joe Dane, man, has took a lot of damage in the UFC. And he likes fights in firefights. And if you're fighting in a firefight against against Davy Grant, it's gonna be a long night. It's definitely gonna be a long night. So for this one, man, I've got Davy Grant winning that fight. I think he wins that fight by decision. I think he wins that fight by decision, but I think it's a 3 round war. I think it's a 3 round war. They're gonna come out in round one. They're gonna feint, and they're gonna try and counter each other. They're gonna come out in round two. They've already figured each other out. It's gonna be an absolute banger, slug fight, slugfest, and round three also slugfest. But I think Davy Grant most likely gets a couple knockdowns, and I think that's what wins him the fights. He's got a heavy, heavy right hand. He's got a lot of power in that right hand. So I think he gets the job done. I think he wins that fight by decision. But I think it's a 3 round absolute war. Definitely. Again, chat. For those of you that's just joined the chat, we're doing the UFC Vancouver main card predictions right now. We did the prelims. I'll go back to the prelims once I'm done with the main card. But if you do love the UFC, you do love MMA, do make sure you subscribe to my channel. Check me out. The channel is Zar-Kombat. You love MMA, you love the UFC, go check out my channel. Do make sure you subscribe. I've got a whole lot of live streams on there, reacting to UFC pay-per-views, my breakdown fights that are gonna be happening. Yeah, man. You love MMA, you love combat sports. Do subscribe to Zar Combat. And then we're back to the UFC Vancouver main card. The next fight on the card is a big one, actually, a big one in the women's flyweight division. And this fight might actually be a number one contender fight for Valentina Shevchenko's belt. It is a fight in the women's flyweight division. You've got Manon Ferrand, obviously fighting out of Paris, France, versus Jasmine. Jasmine has a hard name to pronounce, man. So I'm gonna try to pronounce this name properly. Jasmine Jazudavikis. Jazudavikus. I hope I'm pronouncing her name right, guys. But if you don't know who she is because of the way I'm pronouncing her name, she's the girl that I think she won her last fight And then she was when she was doing her interview, she said, yo, my balls is hot." So she kind of did that Derek Lewis post fight interview, like you know that Derek Lewis, obviously my balls is hot. Like she did the same thing, and she went kind of viral for that. So that's the girl that I'm talking about. I don't really know how to pronounce her name, but she is one of the best flyweights, one of the best women's flyweights in the world. I think she's on like a 5 fights win streak, and a win over Manon Ferrand definitely gets her the title shots. And it gets her a title shot at Valentina Shevchenko or Zhang Weili, depending on who wins at UFC 322. Manon Ferrand, we've got UFC Paris going down next week. I thought she was gonna be on the Paris card, but the UFC decided to put her in Vancouver to fight Jasmine, who is obviously from Canada, and she is fighting in front of her people. So for this fight, man, I think Manon Ferrand, I think she wins this fight. I think she wins this fight because she's got one of the most irritating fight styles to deal with. Like her stand up, like she's a southpaw, and whenever these girls they try to engage her, like she throws like a side push kick, and it works every time. I mean, it even worked against Valentina Shevchenko when she fought her for the belt. I think it's gonna be a boring fight. I think it's gonna be. I don't think it's gonna be an exciting fight. I think this one's gonna be a boring one. And I see Manon winning this fight. Manon Ferrand, she wins this fight by decision, a boring decision. But I hope I'm wrong, and I hope it's an exciting fight. But yeah, man, we're gonna have to wait and see whether it's exciting or not. But for me, I'm thinking Manon Ferrand gets over Jasmine on that one. But it is a big one in the women's flyweight division because the winner of that fight becomes the number one contender, and they get to fight the winner of Valentina Shevchenko and Zhang Weili. So hopefully one of them puts on an exciting performance, and I hope I'm wrong. I hope it's not a boring fight and it's exciting. But I mean, we know women's MMA is not the best, but yeah, I've got Manon Fernand against Jasmine. And then, man, this is crazy. Kevin Holland is back. Kevin Holland is back for like I think like this year. Kevin Holland is back for the fourth time. I think it is. He fought against Renier Dorita in January. I mean, and then he went to London. He faced a guy in London. I can't remember who he faced. And then he fought at UFC 318. I think it was, yeah. Fought at UFC 318. And then now he's back for UFC Vancouver. 4 fights in 2025. 4 fights in 2025. 4 fights in 9 months. That is insane activity. I don't think people understand the activity that Kevin Holland is on. I mean, I know he doesn't win most of his fights. He actually loses most of the time. He's like, I think he's 1-3. No, he's 1-2. Lost 2 fights, won 1 fight this year, but still, man, I mean, it's absolutely insane. Fighting 4 times, fighting 4 times in 1 month. No, no, fighting 4 times in 1 year. Not even 1 year. Fighting 4 times in 9 months. Is that is insane. That is training camps. 4 training camps, guys. Like a training camp. Like there's so much that goes on to training camp. It's not just you preparing to fight, but the money you spend, trying to make weights, because this fight is going down at welterweight, and Kevin Holland has to cut a lot of weight to fight at welterweight. So it's crazy, man. It's crazy. Fighting 4 times in 9 months is absolutely insane activity. Even if he does loses most of his fights, but it's still crazy to me. But Kevin Holland is back at UFC Vancouver. He's fighting the Canadian Mike Malott. I don't think Mike Malotz has been back since he lost to Neil Magny at the last UFC Canada fight. No, no, no. It was at the Apex, I think. Yeah, he lost at the Apex. He lost to Neil Magny, which is absolutely insane, man. I mean, who loses to Neil Magny? How do you lose to Neil Magny? But yeah, somehow Neil Magny beat Mike Malott. Mike Malott was winning, and then he got tired, and then Neil Magny just ground and pounded him and won the fights. That was insane. But Kevin Mike Malott is back. He's fighting Kevin Holland. So for this fight, definitely Kevin Holland wins this one. I think Kevin Holland that had a good training camp, a Kevin Holland that is not dealing with any injuries, easily beats Mike Malott. Easily. I think round one might be a problem for him, the stand up, because Mike Malott has a very game stand up, but I mean he gasses out in round two, and Kevin Holland, we've got to give him credit, guys. I mean he has very good cardio, so yeah, man. I definitely think Kevin Holland wins that fight against Mike Malott, which is going down at welterweight at UFC Vancouver. And I actually think he beats him. I actually think he beats him. And not only beats him, I think Kevin Holland gets the finish. Kevin Holland is gonna TKO Mike Malott in front of his people, in front of a Canadian audience, and I think Kevin Holland is gonna upset the Canadian crowd. Definitely, I'm taking Kevin Holland on that one. I think he gets it done by TKO. I think round two, TKO. I think he catches Mike Malott with the left hook coming in. I think Mike Malott is gonna throw hooping hooks. Kevin Holland is gonna back up and kind of throw a left hook. Boom. Mike Malott goes to the ground and pound. Kevin Holland wins the fight. Definitely see that one going in favor of Kevin Holland. Yeah, chat. What do you think? Again, guys, do tell me below what you think. Drop some comments. Don't be afraid to drop comments, man. Kevin Holland versus Mike Malott. I've got Kevin Holland winning that fight by round two TKO. Round two TKO for Kevin Holland. Definitely. And then we move on to the co-main event, which is a big one in the bantamweight division. The co-main event of UFC Vancouver is Chito Marlon Vera. Chito Vera's back. Is fighting Zahabi. Zahabi obviously fighting from Canada. He is Canadian. He's fighting in front of his people. He's fighting the absolute veteran, Chito Vera. Chito Vera's been in there with everyone. Song Yadong, Peter Yan, Sean O'Malley, Cody Sandhagen. Crazy. Jose Aldo. He's actually been in the cage with Jose Aldo. Menzahabi as well. Actually won against Jose Aldo the last time he was in there. So that's a massive one, man. That's a massive one. A massive co-main event. 5-round fights. And I see this one going. Man, this is actually a hard fight to predict. But I think Chito, man. I think Chito gets it done. I mean, he's got obviously one of the best striking ever. And Zahabi, he doesn't really like to strike. He likes to use his wrestling a lot. Zahabi does likes to strike when he's fighting guys that he knows he's better than at striking. But when it comes to a guy like Chito Vera, I think that Zahabi is gonna come out and he's gonna the ground. I think he's gonna try and take the fight to the ground, and I think the takedown defense of Chito Vera is definitely gonna hold up. The ground game, of Chito Vera is going to be beneficial for him in this fight. I think the takedown defense of Chito Vera is going to be beneficial for him in this fight. Man, I've got Chito, man. I've got Chito. I think Chito has much more to prove in this fight, and I think he gets it done. And I think he gets it done, and I think he might even get the submission. Honestly, I think he might get the submission. I think he might get the submission in round three. So Chito Vera versus Zahabi, 5 round bantamweight fight. I've got Chito Vera, round three submission. But that is a hard fight to predict. Zahabi could also win. I mean, Zahabi obviously has a strong wrestling game, and the last time he was in there, we saw that Zahabi has one of the best chins in the UFC. He took a soccer kick from Jose Aldo. Jose Aldo kicked him, soccer kicked him in the head. He flew around the octagon, got up, and still got the win. So if Jose Aldo can't knock you out, then if you're fighting Chito Vera, he's not gonna knock you out, definitely. But Chito Vera can submit you because he has one of the best ground game in the UFC by far. So once again, guys, co-main event, Marlon Chito Vera is back. He's fighting the Canadian-born Zahabi. It's a bantamweight fight for 5 rounds. And I've got Chito Vera winning that one by round three submission. I can't wait for that one, man. It's good seeing Chito Vera back. We haven't seen him in the UFC for a while now. So it's good to see him back. And then we move on to the main event of UFC Vancouver, Rogers Arena, Canada. It's a big one in the middleweight division. Renier, Derrida, RTR versus Anthony Fluffy Hernandez. I mean, the middleweight division has been so active these last these last 2 months, man. Like these last 2 months, August and September, and then now October being the main events in Renier Derrida versus Anthony Fluffy Hernandez. It's been very, very active, man. We had obviously Khamzat versus DDP go down at UFC 319, and then we've got Carlio Borralho versus Nazardini Marvov going down next week, and then we have in October the main events of UFC Vancouver, Renier Derrida fighting Anthony Fluffy Hernandez. So it seems like in the middleweight division, it's kind of like a four-man tournament. It's a four-man tournament for who gets to fight the champion in Khamzat Chimaev. We've got Nazardini Marvov, we've got Carlio Borralho, we've got Renier Derrida, we've got Anthony Fluffy Hernandez. That's a big tournament, man. It's a big four-way tournament, and I think whoever wins the most spectacular in the fights definitely gets the shot at Khamzat. So if the winner of Imavov and Carlio Borralho gets a massive knockout, they could get the shots at Khamzat. If Renier Derrida versus the winner of Renier Derrida versus Anthony Fluffy Hernandez, excuse me, if they are able to perform well, they could also get the title shots. But I definitely think Khamzat next is fighting the winner of Imavov versus Carlio Borralho, especially if Imavov wins, because Imavov definitely got the title shots, or deserved the title shots when he knocked out Israel Adesanya. I mean, you knock out a former champion in Adesanya, then you deserve the title shots. But Imavov said he does not want to sit on his rankings. He does not want to, he doesn't want to be lazy and sit on being the number one contender. He wants to fight. So he's fighting Carlio Borralho next weekend. The winner of that one definitely fights Khamzat next. And for the main events of UFC Vancouver, Renier Doretta versus Anthony Fluffy Hernandez, I would like to see the winner of that one fight Dracus Duplessis. Again, guys, I am South African and I want to see DDP fights here in our country, fights in front of his people. I still think that the UFC owes Dracus Duplessis an event in Africa. Not even in Africa, in South Africa in particular, in my country, they deserve to give him a main event. If the PFL um, were able to come here two times, the PFL came two times to put on two events in 1 month back in July, then the UFC can definitely bring in events here. DDP lost the belt. They can do a big main event with the winner of RTR, Renier Dorita, and Anthony Fluffy Hernandez. Africa, it's gotta happen. I want it to happen, and hopefully that's what the UFC does. But man, Anthony Fluffy Hernandez versus Renier Dorita. Renier Dorita, the fourth ranked middleweights in the world. Anthony Fluffy Hernandez, the number six middleweights in the world. That's a nice main event. That's a banger main event. Um, the last time we saw Renier Dorita was against Robert Whitaker. It was an absolutely amazing fight for 5 rounds. It was absolutely epic. And then the last time we saw Anthony Fluffy Hernandez, he had that dominant win over Roman Delitse. He had a dominant win over Roman Delitse, and now both these guys are gonna face off for an opportunity at fighting DDP for the number one contender. But man, I'm gonna lean towards. I think Renier Dorita, guys. I think Renier Dorita gets the job done. I think he's got one of the most weird. He's got the weirdest fight style. Like the fight style of Renier Dorita is absolutely weird. It's hard to it's kind of hard to prepare for that fight. He's like Dracus Duplessis, but Dracus Duplessis with wrestling, if you know what I mean. And Anthony Fluffy Hernandez, obviously he's a submission guy, but we saw he's also got a good stand up. Dominated Roman Delitse for 5 rounds. No, not 4 rounds. 4 rounds and then got the submission. But this is gonna be a fun fight, and there's no way this fight, Bring It to Ritter versus Anthony Hernandez, there is no way this fight goes 5 rounds. I can guarantee you that, and I can tell you that for me, I believe that Ringer to Ritter gets the job done. I think Ringer to Ritter gets the job done, and honestly, I want to see him win. I want to see him win because he's been very active. Ringer to Ritter had his debut last year in November. He faced Jared Mearshart last year in November, and since then he's had 5 fights in the UFC. So it was Jared Mearshart in November. It was Kevin Holland in July. No, in January. Kevin Holland in January. He won that fight, and then he went on to fight Bo Nickel. He fought Bo Nickel in May for the Cody Sandhagen versus Figueiredo fight night. Beat Bo Nickel by TKO, which was insane. I got to watch that fight live. That was insane. And then he went on to fight Robert Whitaker back in July at UFC Abu Dhabi. And then now, for a fifth time, he's back and he's fighting Anthony Fluffy Hernandez for the main events of UFC Vancouver. And I to win, man. I want to see Ringer to win because I want to see the most chaotic matchup in UFC history. Dracus Duplessis, UFC South Africa. That would be the main event, the best main event. But for this one, besides me being biased, I genuinely think that Ringer DeWitt is just a better fighter than Anthony Fluffy Hernandez. Anthony Fluffy Hernandez is more of a one-sided fighter. I mean, the ground game is definitely one of the best in the UFC right now. The submission game, one of the best. I think Renier Dorita's style is going to be too awkward for him. I think the knees of Renier Dorita is going to be too much for Hernandez. And the height. The height, the reach, all of that is an advantage for Renier Dorita. And I see Dorita winning that one by TKO, honestly. I see him winning by TKO because I think on the ground, both guys have such elite Brazilian Jiu Jitsu that I don't think they can submit each other. There's no way. So I think they're gonna keep the fight standing, and it's gonna be competitive until Renier Dorita lands an awkward shot and puts down Anthony Fluffy Hernandez, gets on the mic, he calls out Dracus Duplessis for UFC South Africa. I hope that's what he does. That's what I want him to do, and that's the fight that I want, if I'm being honest. But for UFC Vancouver, man, Canada has an amazing card, an amazing lineup, and it should be a fun night. Should be a fun night in UFC at Canada for UFC Vancouver Arena. We're gonna go through the entire card one more time. Just the quick picks for those of you that just joined the chats. I'm gonna go through the picks one more time. So Bruno Luciano versus Oliveira Moraes was the first fight of the night. I thought Bruno Luciano winning that fight, and then we moved on to, again, guys. Some of these names are so hard to pronounce, so forgive me if I'm pronouncing them wrong, but they're really hard to pronounce. The second fight of the night, in the prelims, we had Bukayov versus Polkaroy. Polkaroy, the training partner of Alex Bolton Pereira. I've got him winning, and I think he wins that one by TKO. And then Drupolix is fighting the veteran Drew Dober in the lightweight division, and I've got Drew Dober winning that fight. I think he gets it done by unanimous decision. And then the last fights on the prelims, we've got Barlow versus Santos going down in the bantamweight division. I think Santos wins that one, and I think he wins that one by submission. And then we moved on to the main card. There's a lot of fun fights in the main card. I cannot wait for UFC Vancouver. We've got the first fights on the main card. Silva versus Park. I've got Silva winning that one. It's a fight in the flyweight division. It's going to be a banger, man. We all know that the small guys, they like to fight. So I've got Silva winning that one. And then my prediction for fight of the night at UFC Vancouver. Jourdain versus Davy Grant. It's going down at featherweight. I'm telling you, boys. This is gonna be fight of the night. This is definitely gonna be fight of the night at UFC Vancouver, and I think Davy Grant gets the W. I think it's an absolute 3-round war until Davy Grant lands a heavy right hand and decides to end the fight by TKO. Sorry, Joy Dane. I mean, I like you. You're one of my favorite fighters, but I think Davy Grant gets the job done. And then we move on to the women's flyweight division. We've got Menor Ferrant versus Jasmine Jesudavikus. I know I'm not pronouncing the surname right, but I think we all know who she is. I've got Menor Ferrant winning that fight. I think she wins that one by a boring decision. I think it's a one-sided fight for 15 minutes for Menor Ferrant. But yeah, I think Menor Ferrant gets that one done. And then a nice one, actually a massive one in the welterweight division. Kevin Holland back for the for the fifth time this year. For the fifth time this year. No, actually, I'm lying. For the fourth time. Kevin Holland back for the fourth time, fighting four times in 9 months. Absolutely insane activity by Kevin Holland. He's back. He's fighting Mike Malott, the Canadian-born fighter. He's fighting in front of his people. Unfortunately, I think he loses, and I think Kevin Holland gets the job done. I think he wins that one by submission in round 3. That is my prediction for that fight. And then we move on to the co-main events. Marlon Chito Vera versus Sahabi in the bantamweight division. It's a 5-round fight. Two guys that put on absolute wars every time they're in there. It's gonna be a fun one. But I do have Chito Vera winning that fight. I've got Chito winning that fight. Yeah, definitely Chito. And then the big one, Renier Dorita versus Anthony Fluffy Hernandez in the middleweight division. Both guys fighting to break into the top five in the division. I've got Renier Dorita winning that fight. I think he's got the reach over Fluffy Hernandez. I think he's got the height advantage. I think he's got the better striking or the more awkward striking. And I think that's enough for him to win that fight. Plus, I want Renier Dorita to win that fight so we can finally see DDP versus Dorita. The most chaotic matchup in UFC. I want to see that fight. So I hope Renier Dorita gets the job done at UFC Vancouver. Yeah, boys. It's a fun night in Vancouver. Again, I want to mention that it was supposed to be Sean Brady versus Ian Gary, but the cock Ian Gary pulled out. Well, not really pulled out. He didn't even sign the contract. They sent him the contract and he ran away. They sent him the contract and he ran away. The main event for UFC Vancouver was supposed to be Sean Brady versus Ian Gary. Ian Gary ran away, but we got a better main event in Renier Dorita versus Anthony Fluffy Hernandez. A massive one. Cannot wait. It's gonna be a banger. I've got Renier Dorita winning that fight. Cannot wait, man. I cannot wait. Yeah, chat. Listen, I've got to pause the stream for a while. I've got a bit of a problem with my internet, so let me try and fix my internet. Don't go anywhere, guys. I'm still here, guys. I'm just trying to. I'm trying to fix um this problem here that I have with the internet. I'm still here, chat. I am still here, chat. Do not leave. And we are. Yeah, chat. We're back. We're back. I got it fixed. I had a bit of a problem with the internet, but we're back. Okay, guys. We were doing the UFC Vancouver card. We broke it down. It's been an hour and 8 minutes now. So, yeah, chat. I want to know your thoughts. Your thoughts on UFC Vancouver. Your thoughts on whatever, man. Comment below. And again, chat, do make sure you do subscribe. You gotta get my subscribers up, man. Gotta get them up. Do make sure you do subscribe. And comment below, man. What are your thoughts on the UFC Vancouver card? We broke it down. If you just joined the chat, tell me below. I can go over the picks very quickly for you guys. And we can talk on the UFC. Talk about the UFC. You know, there's a lot of fights that are going to be going on in the UFC. Massive fights. Next week, Khalil Bohalio, Imavov, they're going to go to war. Noche UFC, Diego Lopez, John Silver, they're going to go to war. And then we move on. UFC Perth, Carlos Alberg, Dominic Reyes, they're going to go to war. Then we move on. The big rematch, UFC 320, Magomed Ankalaev, Alex Bolton, Pereira. They're also going to go to war, hopefully. Hopefully that's an exciting fight and it's not a boring fight like the first one. And then UFC Rio, the champ is back. Illuminado. Charles Two Prongs Oliveira versus Rafael Fiziev. Then we move on to UFC Vancouver, Renier Dorita, Anthony Fluffy Hernandez, and then announced yesterday by the boss man Dana White, UFC 322, absolutely crazy, insane. Islam Makhachev, Jack Della Maddalena for the welterweight championship of the world. Valentina Shevchenko and Zhang Wei Li for that's a legacy fight for the women's flyweight belt. That's gonna go down. Leon Edwards, Carlos Prates, big one. MSG, Madison Square Garden, the world's most famous arena. UFC 322. That's gonna be a fun one. Game chat. Do make sure you comment below. Whatever you want to talk about, man. I'm here for whatever you want to talk about. Oh, I missed a lot of. I'm sorry, guys. I missed some of your comments. I wasn't scrolling below. Let's see. Yo, there were a lot of comments in the chats. I'm so sorry, guys. I missed you. I missed the some of the comments. Okay, we had Ref MD saying, bro, if you love the combat bloody vibes, then try joining the army. Maybe I should join the army, bro. That'd be cool. And then we had Eric Tiles saying, I think I'm also pivoting to baseball. Life is at a bad stage, so sports helps me a lot to keep going. Damn, man. Eric, I'm not sure if you're still in the chat, but yeah, man. I mean, sports for me also has been like even when I was younger, man. Like it helped me get away from a life that I did not wanna lean towards. Like I come from a neighborhood that there's a lot of like gangsterism around and a lot of drugs and all of that. So I mean, it helped me as a kid, and then as an adult, obviously, I'm 22 years old, so life is like kind of really, really laying on my shoulders right now, and I'm really relying on this YouTube thing to work so I can kind of like get financial freedom and when it comes to sports, man, it really helps my mind kind of. I'm not gonna say like be at peace, but to kind of like I don't know, pivot away from. It helps me pivot away from reality. It's kind of like when I'm like I'm in my garage right now. So when I'm training here and I'm doing my push-ups and you know what I mean, like I'm punching my punching bag. So when I'm in the zone, it's like whatever I'm going through, like financially, mentally, um, that all goes out the window for those 2 hours, 3 hours, however long I'm training. It's very, very helpful. So sports is definitely one of the best. It's definitely one of the best methods you can use to kind of dip away from reality. Like sports, music, obviously girls. If you like having a fun time, honestly, anything, man, anything. Some people use drugs as well. Some people use alcohol. You know what I mean? Some people use driving also. So for people like us that love combat sports, it's always gonna be sports, man. So I get you. Hopefully things get better for you, Eric. And yeah, man, I'm with you, man. I'm with you, boy. I understand. Obviously, being a guy, and when reality hits, man, it hits deep. It hits deep. We've got a chat here from Raif saying, Eric, try playing chess if you want to have fun with struggling. Not sure if that's a good comment or not, but yeah, man, chess is also good for you. That's also good for you. Rafe with another comment saying, "Bro, do regular chat checks." Yeah, man. I'm sorry, guys. I missed the chats. I didn't see the comments coming in. Like, I am so sorry, guys. Like, I can't believe I missed the chat. Raif again with another comment. Like, there's only two people live in the chat, so I know most of you guys are gone now. But I'm sorry for going through the chats after you guys. I missed the chats, bro. I'm so sorry. Um, Raif again with another comment saying, I believe MMA could help us in physical struggle, but chess gonna help us in mental struggle. Yeah, man, it actually does. Like I heard chess. Like not only like I'm not a chess player. I want to get into chess. I want to get into chess because I know people that play chess, and they tell me that um it helps them in life when it comes to decision making. Because I mean, I think chess. I don't really play chess, but I kind of understand. I understand where the game comes from. Like it's to help you kind of like it's to help you to become better with decision making. Because in life, like there's certain decisions that we make in life that even at the moment you're not aware, but a small decision like choosing to not wake up early in the morning. Like if you're like let's say on Saturday you're not working, and um let's say maybe you told yourself that tomorrow you want to go out for a jog, and you hear the alarm and it's like 6 a.m. and you simple decision like that can automatically like that's a poor decision, you know what I mean? Like it's like you know what you're supposed to do, but you don't do it anyway. So I feel like with chess it kind of helps you be more alert with the important life decisions that we go through on a daily basis that we kind of don't really notice, you know what I mean? Because it's like simple choices you make daily that can affect, not even can, like it's the simple choices we make daily that are gonna affect how you look 3 years from now, 10 years from now, depending on the person you want to become. So I'm definitely getting into chess, and I'm dedicated into becoming. Sorry guys, there was a problem with my Wi-Fi, but I was saying that I definitely want to get into chess as well. So I'm definitely getting to chess. Um, Man, I'm so mad that I missed some of the chats here. Like it was such an like it was such like we could have had so many conversations, but Raif again with another chat saying, bro, how do I get stronger and more stamina without getting bulky? How do you get stronger and get more stamina without getting bulky? Um, Definitely doing cardio, I think. Doing cardio, or if you don't want to go out for a jog and you don't want to run all the time, you can just get a skipping rope. Get a skipping rope, and whenever you're at home, you've got a garage, you can kind of skip around. That also helps with cardio. That helps with cardio. And another thing I read that it really helps with stamina is actually doing heavy breathing. If you know those guys that do jujitsu, like do like that breathing, and they really focus on their breathing, like from here, and they're able to move like their stomach. And so I've heard that breathing technique helps with cardio. It helps with cardio, and it helps with getting your stamina up. I've been actually doing that for a while, and I'm gonna say that my girl is pleased. I mean, my stamina is definitely up. So yeah, man, doing heavy breathing techniques, because it's actually kind of crazy, man. That sometimes in life, like we go through a lot daily, that sometimes we forgot to we sometimes forget to just breathe. You know what I mean? Like you forget to just breathe. So yeah, man, do some breathing techniques. Go out for a jog and go hit the skipping rope. Eric Tiles saying his heavyweight to middleweight division bad. I think the middleweight division is better than flyweight so far. Bro, definitely the heavyweight division. The heavyweight division is by far the worst division in the UFC. And I'm not saying that because of the champion or the level of fighters in the division, but the UFC division, and this is a fact. The heavyweight division only has 30 30 fighters. Imagine the heavyweight division has only 30 fighters, bro. That is insane to me. 30 fighters, imagine. So yeah man, the heavyweight division is definitely the worst division by far. I mean, the UFC doesn't really sign a lot of heavyweights. That doesn't make sense to me. And I feel like after the whole John Jones situation, we stalled the division for like a year, and then he said he was gonna fight Tom Aspinall, and then he got the contract. He said he wanted 30 million to fight Tom Aspinall, and then the UFC got Saudi Arabia involved. They were gonna give him the money that he wants, and then when it was time for him to actually sign the contract, he ran away. And now we're getting Tom Aspinall versus Cyril Gahn at UFC 322. That's not the that's not really an exciting title fight. I'm not even like hating on the division, but yeah, man, the heavyweight division is by far the worst. I mean, look at the top five. You've got obviously the champ, uh, Tom Aspinall. We've got Cyril Gahn. We've got Alexander Volkov. We've got Thomas Almeida. We've got who else? Sergey Pavlovich. And then the rest in the division. Who else do we have? We've got I don't even know who else is in the division. I mean, so I'd say for me, the heavyweight division is by far much worse than the middleweight division. I mean, the middleweight division is stacked. I'm not even gonna lie. The middleweight division is definitely stacked, man. I mean, Khamzat, the champ, DDP, the number one guy at middleweight, Imavov in there. We've got Carlo Pohalio. They're fighting next week. We've got Renier Derrida. We've got Anthony Fluffy Hernandez. We've got Robert Whitaker. We've got MVP. We've got Scara Bullet. We've got Jared Cannonier. We've got Marvin Vittori. We've got Paulo Costa. Sorry, Paulo Costa. So yeah, for me, I would say that the middleweight division is stacked for sure. The Punisher, bro. I can't believe I missed your comment, bro. The Punisher, he's a regular guy on my on the live streams. So yeah, shout out to the Punisher, man. Who do I have? Carlio versus Imavov. I actually did the breakdown, so it's up on my channel. Zar-Kombat, ZAR dash KOMBAT. Go check it out. I don't want to spoil. Um, I don't want to spoil my prediction for that fight, but I will tell you because you're a regular on the comments. You're a regular on my live streams. But for that one, man, I've got Imavov. I've got Imavov. I think Carlo Pohalio going to UFC 319, cutting weight for no reason. It's definitely gonna backfire for him. It's gonna backfire, and I think Imavov, the boxing of Imavov is too much. And yeah, man, I've got Imavov winning that one for sure. I've got Imavov winning that one. I think Imavov has the best chance of actually beating Khamzat Chimaev because he's got a good ground game. He's got a wrestling background, and also one thing we've got to remember, and I don't know how I forgot to mention this when I was doing the breakdown for UFC Paris. Imavov is actually from Dagestan. Imavov is from Dagestan, so he's got a heavy wrestling background. I mean, he's from Dagestan, but he grew up in France. But he also has like a heavy wrestling background. So I want to see Imavov versus Hamza Chimaev. So I think next week Nazardini Marvov gets the job done. Um, Eric Tiles saying I thought professional big names falls at least 2 or 3 times a year. With recovery, healing, and cramps, it takes a lot of time. I think he was referring to me saying that Kevin Holland obviously fighting for the fourth time this year, and Ringer Derrida having like 5 fights in like the last year, which is absolutely insane. Yeah, man. I mean, it does take a lot because I mean they get hurt in fights, they get hurt in training camps. So for a guy like Kevin Holland, I understand that he's in it for the money, so that's why he loses most of the time. But for a guy like Renya Derrida, man, for a guy like Renya Derrida, I mean, like I'm very impressed. Not only am I impressed, like I mean, it's crazy to me that you can fight in November, in January, March, fights in July, and then you're fighting again in August. 5 fights, and four of those fights you've already won, and you've got 3 finishes. That's crazy, man. That's crazy. 5 training camps within a year. 5 brutal training camps, plus the money you're spending on all these camps. You're paying your sparring partners. You're paying your coaches. You're flying your coaches out. The UFC doesn't pay for that. So man, like becoming a fighter or actually being a professional fighter, it takes a lot. Like it really does take a lot. That's why I respect these guys like on a different level, man. Like I actually respect them a lot because what they do really takes a lot of sacrifice, man. And actually having 5 fights within a year, that means you've been away from, okay, let's do the math. So a training camp, let's say a training camp is like 6 weeks, right? So you're away from your family for 6 weeks every time you're about to fight, and you have 5 fights. So 6 times 5, that's 5, 10, 15, 20, 25. So you're away from your family for like 200 and no. You're away from your family for like 25 weeks. Imagine you're away from your family for like 25 weeks. So that's like, bruh, 25 weeks is like almost 6 months straight away from your family. So, like, I have a lot of respect for MMA fighters and those that fight more than 3 times a year. They're absolutely legends. If you're able to fight more than 3 times a year and you're winning, you're an absolute legend, man. It takes a lot. Eric Tal saying, I was curious about the same question. How come fighters financially survive with so few fights and UFC mostly pocketing the money? I mean, obviously, when you're in the UFC, when you're in the UFC, and once you're able to break into the top 15, automatically your name is a brand, right? Your name is a brand, and with that brand comes sponsors, right? Obviously, people wanna use your face to promote whatever product they might be selling, and with that happening, you obviously get a percentage of obviously whatever money they come to you with, and if you're happy, you get a percentage of that money. So I believe that UFC fighters mostly make their money from sponsors, and then some of them have second jobs. Some of them obviously work 9 to 5s outside of the UFC. But for fighters that are in the top 15, like their names are already a brand name. The UFC is a $14 billion company. So once you're in the top five, a lot of brands are looking at you, and they're not looking at you as a fighter. They're looking at you as like a model in a way, a person that can sell whatever products they're pushing. They're looking at you as a guy that can help them levitate their products, and they want to bring you as a partner, and then you become a sponsor, and that's how you make your money. And then obviously you can also go the easy routes and do like an OnlyFans, for the women. You can do that. Some of these guys, they also have OnlyFans. You know what I mean? Stipe Miocic has an OnlyFans, and a whole lot of other fighters as well. But obviously, you can also stream. Max Holloway, he gets a lot of money from streaming on Kick, and some of these other fighters, they stream on Twitch. There's a lot of money there also. That's why I also do this. I hope to also hopefully I would hopefully I know that I'm building towards that brand where especially in my country I become one of the first guys that are able to um brand themselves into becoming like a massive figure when it comes to MMA. Like I'm leaning towards becoming an MMA journalist in the country. So yeah, man. But yeah, back to answer your questions. The UFC fighters, they become brand names once they break into the top 15, and with that comes a lot of sponsors. You know what I mean? But they can also do this because they've got big names, they're brand names, so a lot of people are gonna follow them. They can do YouTube videos as well, as much like we do. They can stream on Twitch. They can promote products on their Instagram, you know what I mean, on the social media. So there's a lot of ways, man. They can actually start like they can start businesses as well, you know what I mean? Like they can, like outside of just promoting other people's stuff, but they can also promote themselves, you know what I mean? Start a clothing brand, promote their brand, you know what I mean, build up their business, buy trucks and start a trucking company. You know what I mean? Start an Ubering company as well. So, once I believe that once you break into the top 15 in the UFC, automatically you're a brand name. And once you become a brand name, like once your name is a brand, if you're in the top 15, your name is a brand. There's so many things you can do, man. There's so many things you can do. And to be honest, man, like it's kind of weird when I hear some of these guys saying that they're broke and they don't have any money. I mean, obviously, sorry, chat. I had a problem with the connection. Sorry about that. But yeah, man, we were talking about UFC fighters building their brand. I believe once you're in the top 15, your name is a brand name, and like there's so many possibilities for you. Like there's so many possibilities you could, you know what I mean? Like besides of promoting other brands on social media and all of that, you can start up a clothing brand, start up small, and slowly build it up. You could you could buy a truck and start a trucking company as well. There's so many opportunities. So I was saying that I don't understand how some of these guys are always saying that they're broke and they don't have any money, and like, I mean, maybe the bills are too much, but again, man, like, there's so many ways to make money as a UFC fighter, especially as a UFC fighter in the top 15. Like, there's so many opportunities. Yeah, chats. I can't see the comments anymore, man. Fuck, god damn it. I was gonna respond to. I missed a whole lot of comments whilst I was breaking down the UFC Vancouver card, and then now my stream kind of crashed for a while. I'm back, but now I can't see the rest of the comments that I didn't get to read. So if you're live, man, if you could just drop a few comments and we can continue talking. And I was having a fun time like connecting with you guys. Ah man, I can't believe my comments disappeared, bro. Like my comments legit, I can't see my comments anymore. Okay, I can see them again. I can see it again. Here we go. We're back. Um, we've got we've got my guy. I don't know if he's still in the chat. I just saw your comment now. Meow meow meow. That's his handle. He's actually he's always on my live stream saying, "Bro, you shaved your head." Yeah, man. Listen, I had to shave my head. Some guy in the chat was telling me that I look like Jordan Levitt. They told me they were trolling me. They were trolling me. They said I look like that gay guy, Jordan Levitt. So I was like, man, listen, I'm cutting my hair. Like I shaved it yesterday. I shaved it myself. I think I did well. But yeah, man, there was no way I was getting told that I look like Jaden Levitt. What's his name? Jordan Levitt ever again for sure. So I had to cut it off. Um, I can't believe I missed so many comments. Yo, Eric, my guy, Eric, I hope you're still in the chat. Like, I hope you're still in the chat, man. I love your comments. Eric again saying, um, but don't you agree that Dana White and UFC are not ethical? Fighters should get paid well. Better paid fighters. We get better fights. After all, they are the products of the UFC. That's a deep topic, bro. That is a deep topic. Listen, we will like as people that um as guys that kind of not even kind of we absorb the product. The UFC is a show, and we're the watchers. So I believe that we're never gonna get to know how the UFC fighters are paid. But you know, in all honesty, I feel like obviously I think it would be better, but at the same time, I feel like the UFC, man, it's an opportunity. It's an opportunity. I don't view it as a career, man. I mean, I feel like it's an opportunity to achieve um, financial freedom whilst you're still in your prime. I'll use Conor McGregor for example. Conor McGregor used the UFC to build his brand. Obviously he always wanted to become a champion. Listen, guys, I'm gonna try. Can you guys see me well? I don't think you can see me well, so I'm gonna move. I'm gonna. Okay, yeah, I'm just gonna stand here. So what I was saying is, the UFC is a brand. It's an opportunity to build your brand. That's what I believe. So you look at a guy like Conor McGregor that did it the best. He came into the UFC, he broke through, and then, you know, he accomplished his dream, becoming world champ, doing all of that and making his money. But he built up his name. The name Conor McGregor is no longer just a person. The name Conor McGregor is an empire. You know what I mean? It's an empire, and he used the UFC as an opportunity to build an empire for himself. The guy is almost like a billion. He's like almost a billionaire now because he played the game strategically. You know what I mean? He played chess, not checkers. Most of these fighters, they're always saying like, "Listen, I like to fight. I like to scrap. That's all I like to do." But if you're not using the UFC, if you're not using the UFC as an opportunity to build a brand name for yourself, and then then you're not being. But if you're a smart guy and you're in the UFC and you're the champ, you know what I mean? You're building your brand. Like I'll use a guy like Dricus Duplessis for example. Dricus Duplessis, he was the champ and he's South African. Like he is the face of everything in South Africa. I swear. Dricus Duplessis everywhere. Billboards, um, commercials. He models for big brand names. So I love what he's doing. Like guys like that, like they're very very smart. They play chess, not checkers. Like yes, you want to become champion. Yes, you want to be the goats. Yes, that is a lifelong dream for you. But what happens after the dream? What happens after the dream? So, man, like when it comes to UFC pay, um, like we don't know how much these guys get paid because we don't get to read their contracts. But I believe the UFC is, besides you becoming the UFC champion and achieving your goals and your dream, your lifelong dream, it's an opportunity for you to build an empire and for you to become, like, paying fighters more would be well for the UFC, but I feel like it's also the fighters' fault for not using the UFC as an opportunity to build their brand name. But yeah, man, that's my opinion on that. Um, yeah, it's actually crazy, bro. Um, Eric, no, not Eric. We've got he FRM dat 901 saying actually it might be the opposite. More money they get paid, the worse the fight will be. Look at boxing, they get paid a boatload of money and they start to duck certain fighters. See, that's the thing as well, bro. It's obviously, you know, fighting relies on hunger a lot. Fighting relies on hunger a lot. So if you're getting if you're so we had a comment here from that 901 saying, yo chat man, like I had to move. I'm having a bit of a problem with the connection, but yeah man, there was a comment here saying if fighters got paid like the boxers, if the UFC fighters got paid like the boxers, then you know the UFC would end up becoming like boxing, which is, you know, people ducking fights and us not seeing the fights that we want to see. That might happen also. That also might happen, and I believe that the UFC. I believe that if fighters got paid more, it also might happen where it's like we don't get to see the fights that we want to see, and we see fighters fighting only like once a year. You know what I mean? That could also happen. That could also happen. That is true. That's true, man. Um, a comment here saying top 15 not gonna get paid, only the top three and maybe some fan favorites. Yeah, yeah. Um, and to be honest, man, I might even have to disagree with that. I feel like once you hit the top 15, like I said, man, once you hit the top 15 in the UFC, you're a brand name. So you're able to use the UFC as an opportunity to build a name for yourself, and get like a lot of sponsors and actually start building businesses outside of the UFC. So I feel like once you're in the top 15, man, I mean, you should be using the UFC to build a brand name for yourself. I'm not saying it's easy, but you know, it's what they should be doing. Not everyone is going to get that type of branding. I mean, yeah, obviously not everyone, but I mean, I'm not saying that everyone should try to be a Conor McGregor. You know what I mean? Not everyone is obviously going to reach the Conor McGregor status, but you look at a guy like, I'm gonna use, you know, a guy like Bryce Mitchell. A guy like Bryce Mitchell, man, he's like I think he's in the top 15 in the bantamweight division, and obviously I don't think he ever becomes a champion, but you know, because of his social media and the character that he is, and you know, he's always himself. He's built a brand that will live on forever. I mean, at least wherever his fans are, like in the States, the name Bryce Mitchell will forever be a brand. You know what I mean? Like he's doing podcasts, that's bringing him a lot of money. His I think he's also got a clothing brand. He's got a clothing brand that brings him a lot of money. he's got a rapping career. You know what I mean? Like he's actually good at rapping. That brings him a lot of money as well. You know what I mean? Like he's got like a large acres of he's got like a heavy, like a big land in Arkansas, wherever he's from. So okay, man, using the UFC as an opportunity to build a brand for yourself. I'm not saying you should get to where Conor McGregor's at. Obviously, being realistic, not everyone is gonna get there. But once you're in the top 15, as soon as you're in the top 15, you're a brand name. Everyone has to start small. Whatever you're doing, man, you just use the UFC as an opportunity to build a brand name for yourself. Do a podcast, do YouTube, promote, sponsor, promote products on social media that can put money in your pockets. Do music on the side, starts a clothing brand, whatever. You know what I mean? So only they can stop themselves from making the money that they want to make. Um, Eric Tile saying, I watch a lot of Muay Thai too. One championship is my place to go. What's your opinion on sports? Yeah, man, I love one. I love one FC. I love, I love one FC. One championship. Sorry. I watched it a lot back when Demetrius Johnson was the champ, and he had that series with what's his name, Morales. He had that whole series, and I love it, man. I love it, man. I don't really get to watch a lot of Muay Thai. I have to kind of I don't I had a problem with my laptop, so I can't watch the Muay Thai events anymore. But I love combat sport, man. Combat sports, I love, especially stand up. When it comes to stand up, that's my favorites. And one FC, I feel like their lack of consistency. That's what really that's what's keeping them from becoming bigger um one of the bigger how do I put this? The bigger combat combats combat sports what am I looking for? Like I feel like the lack of consistency, one FC. If they were more consistent, they would definitely be at a PFL level. You know what I mean? Like they've got stars. They've got stars. There's the short guy, I forgot his name. The short guy that likes to throw elbows. I feel like if they had more events, they would be bigger, man. They would be bigger, but one FC, I think it barely has an event like once every 2 months, I think, or at least for me in Africa. Like for me, I don't really see one FC a lot on TV. I'm always looking for one FC on TV, and I don't really see them on TV. The only time I get to watch one FC one championship is when I'm on YouTube or I've got my laptop and I'm streaming. But man, like I feel like the lack of consistency is backing them from being one of the best combat sports promoters in the world. Like I feel like if they were more consistent, one FC would definitely be better than PFL for sure. That's what I think, man. Eric's saying he really liked that Mighty Mouse fights. He's good. Yeah, man. Demetrius Johnson. That's one of the goats. One of the goats for sure. The UFC flyweight goats, and I like seeing his fights as well. I liked them. I liked seeing his fights in um in one championship. And you know what's crazy, man? Now that we look back, the fact that the UFC traded Demetrius Johnson for Ben Askren, and I'm sorry that I have to speak bad on Ben Askren. I know that he had a crazy like 2 months and he had a problem with his lungs or whatever, but I'm just gonna be honest, man. Like the fact that they traded Demetrius Johnson for Ben Askren, that was crazy to me. Like, but I mean, they did get a lot of money because of that. Masvidal became a star when he knocked him out, so I guess it was a win for the UFC. But I would have loved to have seen Demetrius Johnson fights more times in the UFC. Like imagine Demetrius Johnson versus Davison Figueiredo, Demetrius Johnson versus Brandon Moreno, him versus Pantoja. Pantoja, the champ. I would have loved to have seen him in the UFC a bit more, but yeah, he was also a good fighter at one championship. Eric saying I also subscribe to a lot of foreign fighting shows like Raizan and K1, etc. Yeah, man. I mean, and speaking about Raizan, I mean, bro, like when Kaya Sakura, like I watched Raizan as well. So when I heard that Kaya Sakura was coming over to the UFC, I was like, none of these guys are going to be able to stand up with him. And then now he's on a two-fight losing streak, and I heard that he asked the UFC to go back to Raizan. He asked the UFC to go back to Raizan, which is kind of crazy, man. But at the same time, it makes sense. I mean, losing to the champion is one thing. You lose to the champion, it's a UFC debut, we get that. But then you lose to a 38-year-old Tim Elliott. That's just insane, bro. You lose to Tim Elliott is insane. Like you lost to him on the feet. So Tim Elliott gave him a chance on the feet, and then he saw that okay, this guy doesn't want to fight me on the feet, so I'm gonna take the fight to the ground because that's where I'm better at than him. Got the guillotine and get the job done. And now Kaya Sakura wants to go back to the he wants to go back to Raizan. Absolutely insane. But I love Raizan. Okay, man, I'm a big fan of the stand up in MMA. So Muay Thai, kickboxing, um yeah, man, even that there's this thing in Africa where they do it's like it's a stand-up fight. It's like they wrap one hand and you fight with one hand. I don't know what it's called, but I've checked it out on Instagram and on YouTube as well. I love watching that as well. Editile saying Dana White will always poach talent from one championship with the existence and and money. UFC have one championship. With the money UFC have, one championship will never grow. All these championships will be talent factory for the UFC. I mean, yeah, and also, I mean, it's not even that. I mean, the main goal for most of these guys is to get to the UFC because that's where the money's at. Even if your contract is not the money that you were looking for, again, man, these guys are smart. When you get to a certain level in combat sports, to where it's like you okay, you become a champion in other promotions, but then there's no money because at the same time, no one is watching these no one is watching those other promoters, you know what I mean? Like the UFC is the number one promoter of MMA in the world. So even if the money is not what they want it to be in the UFC, but as soon as they get there, they know that they can build their brand name. Like they know they can build a brand name and they can make the money they want to make because they're using the UFC as an opportunity to become a superstar. You know what I mean? So fighters are always gonna want to go to the UFC. Like I'll use Kaya Sakura for example. Like almost everyone that watches the UFC have never heard of Kaya Sakura, and he was the biggest star in Raizan. You know what I mean? Obviously, us hardcore MMA fans, we know all these other organizations: One FC, Raizan, KSW, EFC, all these other promotions. We know them, but the casuals they don't know them. They only know the UFC, and they only know the UFC because of the fighters that have built their brand name. Guys like Conor McGregor, Khabib Nurmagomedov, John Jones, GSP, all those guys are bigger than the UFC. You know what I mean? So people watch the UFC because they want to see these big name guys, and then they get to love the UFC because of the fun fights, and then they watch the UFC a bit more. You know what I mean? And that's why most of these fighters from ONE FC and Ryzan, they want to come over to the UFC because they want to build a brand name that's going to be known worldwide, so they can actually change their lives. You know what I mean? Um, Eric saying, "What do you think about KD, the BJJ guy? He's unrealistic." To be honest, bro, I'm not even gonna lie. I think I don't know that guy. The only jujitsu guys I know is I watch UFC BJJ sometimes. I mean, as much as I love MMA, but it's actually kind of weird, like watching two guys roll over on top of each other. It's kind of weird. I'm like, it's better when they're fighting, like they're standing up and they're throwing, they're actually fighting, and then the fight goes to the ground, and then they try to submit to each other, and then they're wrestling. I love MMA, you know what I mean? But I don't really watch BJJ like that. It's kind of crazy, honestly. But I know Craig Jones. Like I like Craig Jones. I think he's a funny guy, and I like what's his name, Mikey. I don't know how to pronounce his surname, but the guy with the glasses, the scrawny guy with the glasses, I like him as well. Listen, man, I'm gonna be back. Like I've gotta pee. I'll be back, man. I'll be back. I'm loving this conversation, man. Chat, chat, chat. Ba, 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 ba. Listen, man. And I've got to say this, Eric. I appreciate you, my guy. Like I appreciate you, man. I mean, you've been on this live for like an hour with me, so like I appreciate you, bro. Thank you so much for joining me on this live. Another comment from you saying, "What do you think about?" No, no, I read that one. I've never seen Anderson Silva live in my life, but when I see his head movements, I think the guy had ultra instinct. Yeah, man. I mean, listen, prime, prime Anderson Silva. Prime Anderson Silva was way ahead of his time, or at least, let me say, um, Brazilian MMA in the 2000s. Brazilian MMA in the 2000s was way ahead of its time, man. I mean, not even Anderson Silva, but when you look at guys like what's this guy's name? Man, what's that guy's name? The one that had all those fights with Chuck Liddell, the X Men. Um, Vanderlei Silva. Like Vanderlei Silva in the 2000s was a monster, bro. Like you should go watch his fights in Pride. He was an absolute monster as well. Like he was levels above all these other guys. And then obviously the jiu-jitsu guys, they were on an absolute other level. And when with Anderson Silva, man. I mean, it wasn't that he knew what you were gonna throw, but it's just I don't know whether he studied guys so much that he already knew what they were going to throw, or I feel like he felt like he I don't know. It's kind of like I saw an interview by his one time, and they were asking him about his head movements back when he was in his prime, and he said he never trained he never trained to be better than the other guy, but he trained to beat himself. You know what I mean? So he wasn't training to beat the other guy. He was training as if he was going to fight himself. You know what I mean? So when he was fighting these guys, you'd always like, in a way, like kind of have an idea of how that guy was planning on beating him. That's why when they were throwing like, they would throw like strikes at him, and they would kind of like, it would like enter the matrix and they would miss. So yeah, man, Anderson Silva was way ahead of his time. Prime Anderson Silva was definitely like, it was awesome, man. He was awesome. Like I don't think we'll ever see anything like that in the UFC when it comes to striking. Like a guy that like on the feet that's just levels and levels above all these other guys. That's never gonna happen again. The only time we're gonna see that is I mean, obviously in wrestling, we saw that against with DDP and Hamzat. But when it comes to the striking, man, Anderson Silva was different. Anderson Silva in the 2000s was just, he was an animal for real, man. He was an animal. Do check Kade Ryutulo for his BJJ. You'll be shocked, I guess. Yeah, man, I'm gonna check him out. Definitely gonna check him out. I'm definitely gonna check him out, bro. Eric saying I too enjoyed our conversation. I'm new in combat sports, so it's fun to talk with someone. Thank you, man. Thank you. And I can already imagine how, you know, how weird it is. It's because it's like a lot of guys, a lot of people aren't really into MMA. So like I remember when I was new in MMA, like I was literally begging for like guys that were into MMA. Like when I started watching the UFC, like I was hoping, like I was so excited. I remember watching Justin Gaethje versus Eddie Alvarez, and I watched that fight, man. I was like I wanted someone that I could talk to about that fight. And then I watched all these other fights like Robert Whitaker versus Yoel Romero. So like it was hard talking to anyone about the UFC because people didn't know what the UFC was. And then some people, when you would show them fights on your phone, or when I showed them fights on my phone, they got scared. So like being a new MMA fan, being a new combat sports fan, it's actually kind of weird, but I mean, you're always gonna find your community, bro. I mean, we're here, we're live. Um, we enjoy MMA, and yeah, man. Do you think that combat sports you choose depends on your body type? For example, tall guys boxing for range, or short. And stocky guys should go for more wrestling and judo sambo. Um, Nah, man. To be honest, I don't really think that it depends on what you're doing it for. I feel like if you're doing it to be a professional, then obviously if you're a tall guy, you want to perfect your kickboxing, and if you're one of the shorter guys, you obviously want to perfect your wrestling. But if you're just joining MMA for the love of MMA, then you can do whatever your heart wants to do, man. I mean, like if you want to do kickboxing, you should do kickboxing because that's what you want to do. If you want to do anything else, then that's on you because that's what you want to do. See, like for me, like I love, like I love stand up. I love stand up. So Boxing, kickboxing, Muay Thai. That's what I do most of the time. But if I were to take this professionally and I wanted to become an MMA fighter professionally, then I would have to do wrestling just like I do striking, jiu-jitsu just like I do striking all the time, all day, every day. MMA needs to be like soccer, more global and bigger markets. Yeah, but I mean, MMA, we have to remember at least the UFC, the biggest MMA, um, the UFC was created in 1994. The UFC was created in 1994, and soccer has been around since the beginning of time, honestly. You know what I mean? People have been kicking around the ball since the beginning of time. So it's not really gonna get there unless maybe, we get like 20 Conor McGregors, which is also not gonna happen. But for me, I would love the UFC to someday get to where boxing is at least in terms of being well known. And I'm not even gonna lie, man. I feel like the UFC is surpassing boxing, if we're being honest. But I feel like with the UFC, they signed a deal with Paramount for $7.7 billion. So I feel like with that deal, it's definitely gonna help the UFC put on more fights, better fights. The pay-per-view model is gone, so the UFC are gonna put on better fights for the fans, and the more they put on better fights for the fans, the more we can tell other people to actually watch the UFC. Because if most people that don't love combat sports, they're not gonna watch. They're not gonna want. And you tell them to watch the UFC, and then you open the UFC, and then it's a fight like Khamzat versus DDP, where it's the guy laying on top of the other guy for 25 minutes. No one wants to watch that. No one wants to watch that. So I feel like the UFC really has to be stricter with their rules, because what they promote is two guys standing up and actually fighting. Like they promote more kickboxing and Muay Thai. So I feel like the UFC should come up with a rule that prevents guys from having a wrestling advantage. Maybe if you're gonna wrestle, do what Khabib was doing. Take the guy down, throw elbows on the ground and pound. You know what I mean? Be vicious, be violent. That's what we want to see. That's what people are watching the UFC to see. So I feel like guys like a guy like Khamzat Chimaev, they're killing the sport because no one wants to watch a man lay on another man for 25 minutes, bro. So I feel like once the UFC gets that parts of MMA fixed, then we can actually it's gonna become a much bigger. It's definitely gonna get a larger market, and they're definitely gonna become much more global. And another thing, I feel like the UFC should have at least one star from every continent. Like I feel like Europe should have a massive star. Africa should have a massive African champion or a massive African fighter. Asia should have massive fighters as well, just to build, you know what I mean, the global markets. So like in South Africa, when DDP won the belt, that shook the country up because people never knew what MMA was until they heard that Dricus Du Plessis was fighting for the belt. You know what I mean? And then he fought Israel Adesanya, the biggest star in Africa right now in MMA is Adesanya. So when DDP fought him, that became the biggest fight for us, the biggest fight ever. So like they gained a whole lot of new fans because of the DDP and Adesanya fights. But yeah, man, I feel like that's what the UFC needs to do is kind of deal with the boring wrestling in the UFC. Eric Tiles saying it's like soccer. Soccer easily, especially the UEFA Champions League was getting boring, so they introduced the new formats and are trying to create a new super league. Exactly, bro. That's the thing, man. I feel like with the UFC, I can promise you, man, if they force these wrestling guys to be more. be more aggressive on the ground. If they get those guys to be more aggressive on the ground, then the sports is definitely gonna become much more global. That's for sure. But then, you have these hardcore MMA fans saying, "Nah, if you don't watch wrestling, if you don't watch these boring fights, then go watch another sport. We don't need you." That is crazy, bro. That is crazy. Like I don't like hearing that at all. It's insane to me that people are actually protecting Hamza Chimaev for that performance he had against Dricus Duplessis. I mean, it was dominance, yes. Was it boring? Yes. It was a boring fight. That's not what we want to see. You know what I mean? The UFC does not promote boring fights. So once they get that done and they're able to come up with a rule that forces guys that like to wrestle to be aggressive, like take the guy down, look for a submission, throw ground and pound, be violent. You know what I mean? Don't just lay on the guy. Once they get that done, if they decide to get that done, it doesn't look like they are going to. But I feel like if they ever do that, then the sports is gonna. I feel like the sports is definitely gonna become one of the biggest sports ever. Definitely up there with soccer, with rugby, with what else is one with cricket. It's gonna be up there with those sports for sure. Nerds enjoy wrestling matches. Exactly, bro. I mean, who enjoys it? Who enjoys watching a man laying on top of another man, bro? I mean, we do not want to see that, bro. We don't want to see that. Um, I too seen the comments under UFC shorts after Khamzat won. People were not happy and said he was like a gay man hugging another man for a long period. Exactly, bro. That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying, bro. And you know what's crazy about that fight? Like Hamzat won the belt, but DDP won the people. Dracus Duplessis actually won the people. Like he was getting booed up to that fight, and then mid fight, the people realized that Hamza Chimaev is a scam, and he's not who he portrays himself to be because he was saying, "Oh, I'm gonna kill this guy. I'm gonna kill this guy," and then you get in there and you hug the guy for 25 minutes. Absolutely insane. I'm still mad, bro. I'm still mad. Listen, I was so hyped for Dracos Duplessis versus Hamza Chimaev that I wasn't even able to sleep, bro. I couldn't sleep because I was so excited about that fight. And then Hamza Chimaev has that boring performance. I'm still mad. I am still mad, bro. I wanted to see a finish. I wanted to see those guys try and kill each other. That's what I wanted to see. Because that's what the UFC told me was gonna happen. They were promoting the fights, the immovable force versus the unbeatable Chimaev. That's what they told us what we were gonna see. So yeah, I'm still mad. I'm still salty about the Hamzat winning that fight in the way that he won. And I don't like that style at all, man. And there's people, even Joe Rogan. Joe Rogan is protecting that style of wrestling. If you don't like watching wrestling greatness, then go watch another sports. No, no. The UFC told me that Hamza Chimaev versus DDP was gonna be exciting. So when it's not exciting, of course I'm gonna be mad. You know what I mean? Bro, I was so excited for that fight. But at least we got to see those two back-to-back spinning elbows. Carlos Prates spinning elbow, and Lerone Murphy spinning elbow. That was insane. That was absolutely insane, man. And I'm so happy I got to watch that live. I like wrestling, but I promise, dude, in the future I'll learn striking. Striking gives a lot of confidence. Currently, I've um, I've got bad striking ability, and I've played a lot of soccer, so my legs are good and strong. Yeah, man. I mean, definitely, if you want to boost your confidence, you definitely want to get into boxing because that alone, like that, really boosts your confidence in a different way. I remember back in high school, when I was younger, when I first fell in love with MMA. So when I saw back in high school, when I saw Justin Gaethje versus Eddie Alvarez on TV, that was the first fight I ever saw. Justin Gaethje versus Eddie Alvarez. That was such an insane fight. The next day, I looked for a gym in my neighborhood. I looked for a kickboxing gym, a boxing gym, whatever it was, and I found one, and I started training. And at the time, like I wasn't very confident. I wasn't really a confident guy. Like I was, to be honest, I wouldn't say I was shy, but I was more of a quiet guy. You know what I mean? And because I was a quiet guy, I would get bullied a lot. And then once I got into boxing and I learned how to defend myself, anyone ever bullies me, I will fight them. And then I got into these guys that were in the higher grades than I was. They started bullying me, and I was waiting for the opportunity. So when they started doing that, like I got mad and like I beat them up, because I was confident in defending myself. So yeah, man, I feel like if you're training and you love MMA, definitely do boxing or kickboxing first. Especially boxing, man. I'm not even gonna lie. Do boxing first. That's gonna boost your confidence, and then you can kind of go into kickboxing and jiu-jitsu and all the other combat sports. Um, Best striker you've seen in your life, which was not hyped, promoted, or done justice by the UFC. Bro, the best striker I've seen that was not done justice or promoted by the UFC. That is a great question. I'm trying to think. The best striker I've ever seen that was not promoted by the UFC. Um, Bro, there's this guy. He's in Karate Combat. I'm forgetting his name, man, but he's in Karate Combat. He's a Brazilian though. Like he had an amazing fight with Drew Dober. I'm forgetting his name. Like he was one of the best strikers I've ever seen, but the UFC let him go. I don't know why, but the UFC let him go. But another one that wasn't done justice by the UFC that I can think of is who else? Like I don't know. Are you asking for like on like whoever was like a champion that was good at striking, or like the guys that aren't really known? Because if you're asking like if who or one of the best strikers that weren't really done justice by the UFC, but like we already knew that they were good at striking, I believe I believe Drake is Duplessis, man. And I'm not just saying that because I'm being biased and he's from my country, but Drake is legit had one of the best striking in the game. It was weird, yes. Did we understand his striking? No. Was it effective? Yes. Did he win against the best strikers in the world? Yes. Beats Adesanya on the feet, beats Robert Whitaker on the feet, and the UFC were like they weren't even promoting him at all. To be honest with you, so I would feel like DDP, man, definitely. If I want to learn striking, what fighter would I should I watch? For reference, your suggestion would be if you want to learn striking, bro. I'd say if you want to learn striking, bro, I would say go check out. If you want to learn striking, go check out Canelo Alvarez training. Go check out Javante Davis training. Go check out Dustin Poirier. Go check out his training videos. Go check out Sean O'Malley striking videos. Go check out like all of the best strikers, man. Um, yeah, go check out what's his name? The boxer Dmitry Bivol. Go check out his striking videos. He's one of the best strikers ever. Yeah, man. I feel like if you wanna get like a solid foundation on your striking, I would definitely say lean towards the boxers. Underrated is the word, I guess. Underrated. A comment here from Eric Tiles. Underrated is the word, I guess, but not with spoken, not with the outspoken types. So never had the PR like Conor McGregor types. So the one of the best strikers that weren't outspoken or never given the hype of Conor McGregor. Um, bruh, I would say maybe Jerry Prohaska. Jerry Prohaska is one of the best striking in the game for sure. I'd say Jerry Prohaska should have gotten more striking, or should have gotten more credit from the UFC for his striking. He didn't get more much credit for his striking. I'd say, bro, I'd even say Dominic Reyes. I'd even say Dominic Reyes. He doesn't get more. He doesn't get a lot of recognition for his striking because he took a couple losses, but he's got one of the best striking in the game. I'd say, um, bro, there's a lot. I'd say even Charles Oliveira. Charles Oliveira has one of the best striking in the world. I mean, he beats Dustin Poirier on the feet. He beats Justin Gaethje on the feet. He beats Michael Chandler on the feet. So for me, I'd say Charles Oliveira definitely did not get the recognition he deserved as a striker. Charles has one of the best striking in the world, for sure. He was even he was even beating Ilia Topuria on the feet, but Ilia Topuria has a heavy right hand, so he knocked him out. But he was winning on the feet. Like if you rewatch the fight, but I'm not gonna rewatch that fight because it hurt me seeing Charles Oliveira lose. But on the feet, like Charles got an elbow in there. He got Topuria with a nice uppercut. I believe for me, the most underappreciated striker in the UFC is Charles Oliveira for sure. Definitely Charlize, Du Bronx, Oliveira. Yeah, man. Who else? I think also Peter Yan. Yes, Peter Yan was the one I was thinking about. Bruh, I swear, Peter Yan has the best striking in definitely in the bantamweight division. Peter Yan is an animal. Like go watch Peter Yan versus Corey Sanhagen. Peter Yan versus Cody Sanhagen for the interim bantamweight championship. That was the most technical, striking fight I'd seen in the UFC ever. Peter Yan on the feet is an absolutely he's an animal, bro. I swear, he's an animal. So Peter Yan also, I believe, was not given the recognition he deserves by the UFC. Uh, I'm left-handed, so does that count as southpaw, right? I mean, yeah, but you could also be uh orthodox. Like it depends on it depends on what works for you because there's other guys that are right-handed that were also southpaw. A guy like Dustin Poirier, he's a right-handed guy, but he was fighting from southpaw. And there's also guys that are left-handed that fight from orthodox position. So it depends on you, man. Whatever works for you. Is there an advantage or disadvantage of being a southpaw, especially when I'm learning striking? The advantage I would say definitely the right hook, especially if you're a guy that's fighting the orthodox position. Like you could always land the right hook. So the right hook is always like you can kind of feint and then bah overhook. You know what I mean? Like if you're fighting the guy and he's orthodox position and you're in southpaw, right? So you're in southpaw and you kind of feint at the guy. So you're gonna feint at him. He's likely gonna try and throw with you. So he's throwing with you. You're gonna feint. You know what I mean? He throws his own hook, and then you're gonna come over with the bah left to the top of the ear. That's an advantage. But then the disadvantage for you is if you're in southpaw Then obviously you've got the right arm here, you've got the right your left arm here. You know what I mean? And you're fighting a guy that's orthodox, so the body shots is always there for them. You know what I mean? They can kind of throw the jab at you. So if you're here, right? So they throw the jab at you, and not even hitting you. They're just showing you the jab. You know what I mean? Like they show you the jab, so you're here, and you kind of cover up, right? So as soon as you cover up, they threw the jab just to show you, not to hit you, to show you. They threw the jab, and then bah, body shots. Then you're down. You know what I mean? Because now you're here. You're thinking he's gonna hit you with the jab, but he's not trying to hit you. He's trying to trick you. You know what I mean? He's throwing the jab at you, throwing, throwing, throwing. You've got your arms here, so you know what I mean. That's there for them. So if I'm here, show you, boom. Then I back out. You know what I mean? And then now you're here, you're hurt, arms are down. Now you're trying to protect your body, and then I kind of feint the jab at you. I'm showing you like I'm gonna hit you in the body, feint the jab at the body, and then I go up with the right. So, I mean, fighting, man. Like, there's a lot of advantages and disadvantages in fighting. It's just being strategic. You know what I mean? Like, it's kind of like a chess game. It's kind of like a chess game. You've got to be better than the other. You've got to be more, or not even more decisive, but you've got to be um very very I don't know, man, like decisive, and like at the same time, like it's a chess game. Like, what's he gonna throw? If you were him, what would you throw at yourself? You know what I mean? So I feel like if you're striking, that's what you really need to think about. Um, Game chat. We were doing the UFC three. No, UFC Vancouver. Um, we were doing the UFC Vancouver live stream. We broke down the main card and the prelims. Do make sure you subscribe. Do not leave the chats until you subscribe. Support the boy. Let's get my subscribers up. Subscribe, subscribe, subscribe. My boy Eric with another comment saying, I guess I'll be going now. I really had fun talking to you, dude, and I subscribe to your channel. See you in the next live. My boy, listen, dog, I appreciate you, dog. Like, this by far is the best conversation I've ever had with anyone. This is the best conversation I've had, and thank you so much, man, for being with me on this live. Like, this has been the best live I've ever had. I'm not even gonna lie. Like, on the other lives, um, you know, like, I talk with the guys, but it's never like, you know what I mean? Like, it's never back and forth. So thank you, man. It was a very very good experience, bro. And I hope you get in the gym and you go to your boxing classes and you have fun with that, bro. Um, I really really enjoyed seeing you, dog. I guess I'll also be leaving too because you're actually the only one in the chat. So as soon as you leave, I'll be leaving also, bro. So yeah, man. It was fun, dog. It was fun. It was fun. I definitely appreciated this, bro. I didn't ask you where you from. Where you from? Where you watching from? If you're still live, I want to know where you're from. Gain chat. If you just join the comments, if you just join the live, do subscribe. UFC three, no UFC Vancouver. UFC Vancouver breakdown. We did that. It was fun. Had an amazing back and forth with my guy Eric Tiles. This function. I'm subscribing to his channel right now. As soon as we're done. And yeah, Eric, I want to know where you're from, boy. I want to know where you're from, bro. Before you leave, tell me where you're from. Yeah. So it's been epic, boys. It was a W stream. Shout out to Eric Tiles. This function, by far the best live stream I've had. In terms of like interacting with you guys, my boy Eric Tiles, this function, definitely the best. It is Zar-Kombat. ZAR dash KOMBAT. Zar-Kombat is the handle. Do make sure you do subscribe to the channel. I appreciate your support, guys. UFC predictions, UFC reactions, live UFC events. Um, yeah, man. UFC, MMA, PFL. I do it all, guys. I do it all. So make sure you do subscribe to the channel. If you love combat sports, you love MMA, I'm the guy you want to check out. Hey, yo, Eric, you still in the chat? There's only one guy on here. I think it's you. I want to know where you're from. Where you watching from? What country are you from? Chat. That's the way I like it. That's the way I like it. 30 for 30 and 30 for 30 and 30 for 30 up. Okay, chat. We've been live for 2 hours and 15 minutes. Um, it was cool, man. It was cool. The W stream again. A shout out to my boy Eric Tiles Dysfunction. Made this by far the best stream I've ever had. And I think we'll be back tomorrow to break down UFC Perth. Yeah, we're gonna break down some of the events that are gonna be going down, and I hope to see you guys again tomorrow, man. It's been a W stream, a golden one. Got a medal for myself with a W stream. It was cool, man. By far the best one. It is Zar-Kombat. Subscribe to the channel. Appreciate the support. Now, yeah, man. Wow.